And remember to introduce us, because
I just started, so you can't say anything when I start. Now I have to edit that out. Welcome to episode 128 of the Beyond Social Media Show, the podcast for marketing, advertising, public relations, and communications professionals. We're recording live on Blab, January 31, 2016. We always start off with the worst communication stories that happened over the past week, then go on to the best, and wrap it up with some shiny new objects we're enamored with and some stats you'll want to know. But BL always obviously honors. BL, what was the worst story of the week last week?
it probably wasn't the worst story of the week, but it was pretty damn awful. And years ago, I wrote a book called Press Releases from Hell and How to Fix Them. And back in the beginning of the internet, 1998, people used to write press releases saying, we've launched a website. And then more recently, I get a lot of press releases that say we've updated our website. Well, let me be the first to tell you, nobody cares. So this week I get a it comes from Press Release Rocket, and the headline is San Francisco hair transplant leader Gorin Surgical announces new posts on Google Plus for January 2016.
Wow. Yeah.
So, and it says, this is just too funny. It says that Gorin Surgical, a top-rated transplant clinic servicing San Francisco and the entire Bay Area, is proud to announce new updates to its popular Google Plus page on social media. Okay, so then the press release says, today's consumer can be too busy to read an in-depth blog article or academic research on hair restoration surgery. He or she turns increasingly to social media sites such as Twitter, Facebook, and Google Plus to learn about areas of interest. In that spirit, Gorin Surgical has updated its January 2016 Google Plus feed. Sample posts include follicular unit transplantation, which is one of the primary methods of hair restoration, for example.
This is the battle we in PR always have, is you need to understand what is news and what is not. The fact that you updated your Google Plus page is not news.
Somebody paid for that. Somebody paid for that press release, and God knows who wrote it. I mean, I think a monkey with a typewriter could have done a little bit better on that one. So, hi, Scott. Okay, so what do you got?
So this is something I've been noticing more and more, and I think it's because of Twitter's efforts recently to expand the reach of tweets beyond registered users, coupled with their deal with Google to give Google access to the fire hose. So we're seeing tweets more and more outside of Twitter. Discovering tweets more and more outside of Twitter. And there's a problem with that because there's no context to the tweet. So you find an individual tweet outside of Twitter, let's say through search results, you click on it and you can read the tweet. But if it's part of a conversation, there's no thread of the conversation. So you don't have the context of the conversation. Google's got to figure that out. They've got, especially if they're trying to expand the reach of individual tweets, they need to figure out how to put those tweets in context. So that's my a bad observation of the week.
You're saying when you click on search results, like if I searched on David Erickson, and the Twitter feed that came up would have out of context tweets. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying when you click on the URL of an individual tweet that's outside of the context of a conversation that you're not involved in,
mm-hmm.
or outside of the context of Twitter itself, there's not a thread that contains the context of that whole conversation. You're just reading one individual remark that is part of the conversation that you are not aware of because there's no context to it. You're not seeing the whole conversation in that tweet. So
that's like overhearing somebody saying something to someone while they're walking down the street and they pass you.
So, I mean, it's a problem for brands too, because if you're doing monitoring, you can find an individual tweet where somebody mentions your brand name, but it's obvious it's part of the conversation, but you don't have the rest of the conversation to figure out what the people were saying about you.
Well, there was a big rash of hiring and firing at Twitter, and obviously changes are afoot. So I hope that's on their list of things that need to get fixed. So I think you're going to appreciate this one, Dave, because I know how much you loved your Google Glass. Apparently, Google just wants you to forget that Google Glass ever even existed. This is from an article in the Daily Mail by Sarah Griffiths. And what Google did in their infinite wisdom, Google Glass's Twitter and Instagram accounts have been wiped out. The Google Plus page has a goodbye message that for Glass customers, and it's rumored that Project Aura is creating a new version of Google Glass dubbed the Enterprise Edition, and it'll be for business users only, but it won't be called Glass. And you know, they closed everything, and so it comes exactly a year after the Public Explorer program, which let ordinary people try Glass, and it does make one wonder, are they planning to do that with Google Plus one day? You come there and there's, bye, nice to know you. I mean, they do that with things.
They do, and I'm not going to forget that Google Glass existed because I paid $1,500 for one that didn't work very well.
Well, the thing it says in the articles about the new one is that they're sturdy and that they can withstand the thing that broke yours, which was putting it in your pocket or something really ridiculous that you should have been able to do.
The way you normally use glasses.
Yeah, exactly.
Would have been nice so if they would have figured that out
before they charge you $1,500 to sell it to you. Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah. So, but I mean, on the other hand, this is the type of thing that nimble companies do. Is when things don't work, they basically say, "All right, well, we tried and shut it down." Sucks to be us that are involved in it, but if you know when to quit when you're losing, that's probably a good idea too. I came across a story that gave me pause. My SEO antenna went up. It gave me pause a little bit, but it's kind of cute too. So it's a Pacific Standard story by Tom Jacobs. And the title of the article is "Follow Your Bliss. You'll regret it if you don't." Now, this is the type of professional development story that we see all the time on all kinds of publications and everything. And so there's nothing new about that. But what caught my eye was the keywords in the URL of the article. The keywords in the URL are, "At least that's what us journalists keep telling ourselves." So the journalist was obviously using the URL as commentary on his own story, which is, kind of cute and clever, and I haven't ever seen that before. But from an SEO perspective, that does nothing for your SEO. You want, the keywords that are the main keywords that is the subject of your story to be in your URL as well, because it's a signal for search engines relevance. So, but
that's funny though.
Never seen that before.
That was a good sense of humor, but if there's anything that's more misunderstood than SEO, I'm not quite sure I know what it is, with the possible exception of when to send out a press release. So, as I told you, I fell and I broke my arm. So I've been more than a little out of it this past week. But so I don't have any more bad news. I decided that I would concentrate on good news. So if you don't have any more bad news.
I got one more. This is one of my favorite tools, actually, MailChimp. I use it extensively. But I discovered that MailChimp's URL shortening service is broken. I sent out a newsletter last week, and somebody tweeted that the shortened URL that I used in the social media update for the newsletter was broken, and sent me so I checked it out, and there's an error message from MailChimp. Now, MailChimp has, if you've seen the EEP URL shortener, EEP domain, that's what that MailChimp uses for their URL shortener. They created that as a trackable shortening service for MailChimp for their built-in Twitter integration. At the time, they opened it up to the public because they felt there weren't enough monkey-based URL shorteners, EEP being a sound that monkeys makes, right? The service is no longer available for public use. We made this change in order to protect the reputation of the domain and high deliverability rates for MailChimp customers who use the EAP URLs in their campaigns. Existing URLs will still be redirected, and the EAP URL still works in the app. We're trying to prevent the URL from getting blacklisted. So they've got this error message, but the URL shortening service is still active in MailChimp.
Oh, that stinks. I use MailChimp also. That's terrible.
When you send out a campaign, at the end of it, you confirm it, you schedule it, or you send it out immediately, and you get, your campaign has been sent or your campaign has been scheduled, and you get a
they don't test the links.
You get a shortened URL to share,
right?
And it's broken. And then they also, if you have your newsletters archived, there's a sharing aspect to that archive.
And those are broken.
URL. So if they're gonna discontinue it, they got to take it out of their service. That's nice.
Well, okay, I do have one more bad thing, and it happened today, and I'm at the moment just feeling like one of those kind of clown things that you hit it and it pops back up, and you hit it and it pops back. I get a note last night in my email, which was like the first time in a week that I looked at email because I've not been doing anything but being in pain. And it says, we had to turn you down because you had a PayPal problem when one of my services renewed. So I go and I look, and it says my credit card was denied. I'm like, why? It's got thousands of dollars worth of credit. The bill's paid. So I try and call them, and nobody answers the phone on Saturday night at the 24-hour service. And so I call them again today. I don't want to name them because they don't deserve any publicity. And they say, well, didn't you get a call last night about 7:30 or so from an 800 or an unknown number? I said, well, if I did, I sure as hell wouldn't answer it. Nobody answers those. Are you serious? And the guy said, well, that was the alert. And he said, you have to go on the website and you have to set up if you want text alerts. And I went, okay. And I went to the website and I went there and I looked all over the freaking website and there is no way to set up the alerts. So then I tried to call them back and they said, call us during our regular business hours, Monday through Friday. So guess what? I'm never using that card again. However, I do have another card, and now I have to go to all 10 or 12 of the services that bill me tonight that will deny me because my card is canceled, and I have to change it. And I'm not really in shape to do that right now. So screw you, Fidelity.
All right, on the good stuff. You got before I interrupted you, you were going to say something.
I was going to be bright and cheery. Yes. Well, something that's quite lovely actually happened. Intuit QuickBooks gave a free Super Bowl ad to a coffee maker named Death Wish Coffee. And it's a tiny little business, and the fans got to vote. And they're going to have an ad on the Super Bowl, and it's a 30-second Death Wish Coffee commercial, and you can see it on the Death Wish Coffee site and on Intuit's site. So I thought that was a really extraordinary thing for Intuit to do because they talk about being for small businesses, and you couldn't be more for small businesses than to give them a shot at the Super Bowl. So how nice is that?
It's a good move by Intuit. I mean, it's a good PR move by Intuit. Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
My good thing is something that's been around for a while, but I just kind of discovered it. This is how Google improves search quality, and it's their videos. And this is a hat tip to This Week in Google podcast is where I heard about it. But Google has a couple of videos that are basically allow you to sit in on search quality meeting where they get together, all their search engineers get together and discuss how to improve their search results. Gives you really good insight into how Google thinks about content and how to rank it and how to give visibility to a piece of content or not. The example in one of the videos is the misspelling of medicines. And so people will misspell keywords in their queries for search engines all the time. And if you misspell your medicine, it could have obviously disastrous results, right? If you're getting the wrong information.
Yeah.
So that's an important thing for Google to figure out, right? So Google knows that websites that misspell pharmaceutical terms or pharmaceutical names tend to be of lower quality, not surprisingly. So that's an indication of how simple rules of English grammar are a reflection of quality, and as a result, poor writing can negatively affect your website's reputation in Google's algorithm. So, I mean, there's a lot of people who are cranking out a lot of content, and I've seen it over and over again. I've complained about it on this show. Poor writing, people writing using words they clearly don't understand the meaning of, but that's stuff that Google can recognize, that Google's algorithm can recognize, so it can have a negative effect on your search visibility.
There's some of the misuses of the language are funny, but they're not funny, as you're pointing out, when it comes to something like the prescription medication you're taking. You're looking for the way to take it or the side effects, and you're dead. That's not nice. That's definitely not nice. So one of the things that happened this week was that it was World International Holocaust Remembrance Day on January 27th, and Anne Frank's sister, who is 86, stepsister, who's 86 years old, in Newsweek compared. Her name is Eva Schloss. She's 86. She's an Auschwitz survivor. And Anne Frank and Schloss were Jewish refugees in Amsterdam and played together as children before their families went into hiding. And as everyone probably knows, Anne Frank died in the concentration camp. Her father, who survived, married Schloss's mother after the war. And she wrote in Newsweek about the Syrian refugee crisis. And she noted that the theme of this year's Holocaust Memorial Day is Don't Stand By. And she said, if Donald Trump becomes president, he is acting exactly like Hitler did before he came to power, and that it would be a complete disaster if Donald Trump were president. And she urges people, don't stand by, and points out that earlier this month, and I'm sure you may have all read about this, Trump kicked a Muslim woman who stood in line silently in protest at a rally. She kicked him out and physically kicked her. And she said, obviously, we haven't learned anything. I am depressed by the current situation. And God knows we all are. Most of us. Many of us. The smart ones among us. Okay. So, but I have that in best because it is so important that we speak up and that we be heard at this point.
Yes, indeed. So I have a positive customer service to counter your negative customer service story, or to balance your negative, whatever. It's a positive customer service story.
Tell us one.
And it's related to email. So SurveyMonkey, if anybody's, SurveyMonkey is probably the most prominent web survey service available. And I set up a while ago a SurveyMonkey account for a client and got the pro or gold version or whatever. Cost $300 a year, and we set it up and used it once, I think. And when you set up that level of service, it by default sets it to auto renew. And so I set it up, didn't think about it again, and lo and behold, year comes around and it auto renews, and I'm like, where'd this charge come from? And investigate, and that's what it was. It was auto renewed. And I'm like, okay, my bad. I need to keep track of that stuff and make sure that I cancel it before it auto renews. But I didn't. I figured I was out $300. I contacted SurveyMonkey customer service, emailed them, told them the situation, and they just refunded it within a day. No questions, no sweat. They saw that I had not used it, that I'd used it once. It was just like, done. And
I love that story, Dave.
That is customer service.
And there ought to be so much more of that in the world, there just really should. So I do have a very strange story. Tony the Tiger, Tony the Frosted Flakes Tiger. He's had to turn his
Right.
back on, yes, he's had to turn his back on Twitter. This is from a story by Ashley Feinberg in Gawker. And on her Twitter feed, it says 20% nicer tweets this year, but because she could be a little bit biting, but and that's what I like about her. But anyway, apparently what happened was Tony has started blocking furries. And there's this big thing because unfortunately what happened, according to, just so in case you don't know, Wikipedia defines furry fandom as a subculture interested in fictional anthropomorphic animal characters with human personalities and characteristics. So of course, Tony, who's buff and naked, fits that. So their anthropomorphic attributes include exhibiting human intelligence and facial expression, the ability to speak, walk on two legs, and wear clothes. Well, hey, Tony does all that. And furries dress up like animals. So Ashley Feinberg says 2 months ago when she wrote about Tony's little furry problem, apparently his problem was that furries were continuously propositioning him for sex. And, this is not like what Kellogg's had in mind when they put Tony the Tiger on Twitter. And he was the object of so many fuzzy affections that he finally started purging all of the furry people.
That's a good idea. That's a good idea.
Talk about brand
Tony the Tiger and you got furries after you. It's time to block them. Block them en masse. Because again, it's a reputation thing. That's a signal that like Google has access to.
Well,
do you want your brand to all of a sudden be showing up in furry related searches? No.
I would say maybe Tony needs to be very much more careful about how the brand is monitored, and whatever it is they're using, they ought to be using something better.
Well, they're doing the right thing, so that's good.
Well, but it's taken a very long time. I mean, this has been months and months and months, and they post nude pictures. It's a catastrophe for Tony the Tiger.
All right, so are we on to new objects?
Oh, and I'm addicted to a new one. It's called stick texting. Have you seen it?
No, I haven't.
Oh my God, it's the coolest thing in the world. It's I actually popped for the $1.99 or $2 one, whatever it was, but they're fully animated stick figures and you can use them for text and email with your iPhone or your iPad, no desktop. But they like when I told a friend that I had fallen and broken my arm, I got a message back where the little stick figure went, "Oh crap!" and it was walking a dog and went, "Oh crap!" and then the dog poops. And there's all these funny ones. There's one where you're eaten by an alligator, and they're hilarious. And so I've been sending them to everybody I know because I've basically been laying on the couch all week trying to heal. So I've been doing a lot of email, texting and mindless things like that. So I highly recommend it. The other thing that Scott Scowcroft told me about, thank you so much, is I was not aware that there is voice typing as an add-on in Google Docs. So, and it works fairly well, I must say. So how I prepared for the show tonight for the show notes was I used the voice texting add-on, and you have to do some corrections, but you always do. And I think it probably does learn. And you're able, I've been writing in Google Docs and then actually copying and pasting into other programs because I only have one hand to type with, and that's kind of hard. I thought I would be better at it than I am, but that one finger thing. So
yeah, I used the when I broke my fingers in hand or whatever, right on my right hand, playing football. I used the Dragon Text voice recognition program to.
How'd you like it? Because I did not like it.
Well, it was better than nothing. I mean, it worked fine. It was like, I don't expect a lot out of text voice recognition, but for long pieces of text. But
it was great in Apple actually has one built in. It's great on the phone. On the iPhone, I use voice for email and everything. I use the mic on the phone, but online it's just not the same.
No. So my cool tools. I haven't tried this yet, but it sounds interesting. This is from a Cult of Mac post. Zcast is a new app that turns your iPhone into mobile podcasting studio.
Well, I
So it's
can't
an app
wait.
that you can podcast from, and apparently you can do live streaming. So I think it hooks up with Periscope as well. But yeah, podcasting is becoming easier and easier. That's a good thing and a bad thing. The more
Yeah.
people that do it, the less quality there's going to be out there, probably. But democratizing communication channels is always a good thing, I think.
Well, and I think it's the same in every instance. Eventually, the cream rises to the top, and people get out there and like try it. And unless you're serious about it, you don't really delve into it enough to really learn how to be best at it. And so that's happened here on Blab. That happens everywhere. But that sounds really cool. That sounds like a
Yeah.
tool worth
But
learning.
these types of apps that Zcast is a mobile app for podcasting is likely to be. I mean, people are going to use it in an ad hoc fashion rather than doing a show that's formal and happens every week or every whatever period of time. They're probably going to be using it in an ad hoc fashion, and it's tough to build an audience that way too. So again, it depends upon the seriousness and how dedicated you are to building an audience doing podcasting. But I'll try it out. I'll report back after I try it out.
But you've
The
been
other one I've got,
podcasting for how many years, Dave?
huh?
You've been podcasting for a long time. How many years?
I actually can say that I started podcasting in 2001 because I had an
Yeah.
online radio show. So back when the real audio was streaming stuff, but it's not podcasting strictly speaking. But
But the way it
anyway,
is today is it's a huge growth area,
it
and
is.
it's very exciting to see that there actually are advertisers and brands becoming involved in supporting some of the better podcasts and some of the better shows. And this is starting to happen, and the agencies are talking about it. And so we're in a new age. We really are, and it's cool. I'm happy we're here.
Yeah. Last app, Listomatic Twitter app. This is a cool little tool for iOS that you hook up with your Twitter account. So you authorize it with your Twitter account. It examines your followers, and if you're somebody who hasn't used lists before and you've got a lot of followers, you're probably not going to devote the time to putting those people on lists to make it easier for you to follow them on Twitter. This is an app that automatically creates lists based on your followers. So it categorizes your followers based on what their profiles say. So you can have your list of technology people, or your list of business people, or your list of whatever. But it works pretty well. So that's a nice way to avoid all the hard work of building a list. I happen to been creating lists for myself, so I don't really need it. But I tried it out on an account I use that I haven't been building lists on, and it works pretty well. So that's a cool tool.
A free app?
Free. Yep. All right, let's wrap this up. Daily numbers, some stats you'll want to know. This is from an amazing video presentation by Scott Galloway, who's a New York University marketing professor, and did this presentation for the DLD conference, which is Digital Life Design Conference, and it is the economic power of the Big Four: Amazon, Apple, Facebook, and Google. Now, this is a 16-minute video that I think is a must-watch for anybody that's or anybody who's thinking about the future, not just in marketing and communications. But he goes through the Big Four and in 16 minutes describes their economic power amazingly. Some stats from his presentation. This is market capitalization numbers. So the market cap, if you don't know, is multiply company shares outstanding by the current market price of one share, and people use it to determine the size of a company rather than their sales or total asset figures. And so it's a stat that's used in finance a lot. But Google's market cap number is $528 billion. So for comparison purposes, that's equal to the market cap of Disney, Comcast, 20th Century Fox, DirecTV, WPP, CBS, Omnicom, Viacom, Dentsu, Publicis Group, and IPG combined.
Good Lord.
Amazon's market cap is $317 billion. That equals Walgreens, Target, Kroger, Fast Retailing, Carrefour, Tesco, Macy's, Metro, Tiffany and Company, Ralph Lauren, Nordstrom, Zalando, Bed Bath and Beyond, Williams Sonoma, and Abercrombie Fitch combined. It's a 16-minute video. You got to watch it. His conclusion, one of his conclusions, is the big four are own the future, and that they are seceding from the U.S. His argument is that they're creating better municipal infrastructure for their employees. They've opted out of healthcare. They're offering their own healthcare services to their employees. They're dodging U.S. taxes. And so he's saying basically Facebook is basically exporting their intellectual license and has the effect of deflating profits in high tax countries and increasing profits in low tax companies, which has the effect of lowering their global tax rate overall. So you got to watch this video. It's amazing.
That's an amazing set of stats. I mean, my God. But that's why, Apple and Google and and probably Amazon keep these huge stocks of cash, because they don't trust the way the economy is being run. And somehow it's hard to, argue with that. So this seems like a good place to bring up the fact that if you subscribe to the Beyond Social Media Show newsletter, which is a weekly edition, then our subscribers will be receiving the big book of shiny new apps. And every week, Dave and I cover, as part of the show, this is episode 128, we cover the shiny new objects we found, the apps we're enamored of. And we went through and we picked 51 of the best of them from the past season. And every quarter, we'll update that book. And the subscribers to our newsletter are the only people who are going to get that. So you want to go to BeyondSocialMediaShow.com and subscribe to our newsletter. And that's also where you'll find all of our episodes and the videos on the blog at BeyondSocialMediaShow.com lead to our YouTube channel, where you will find the videos are time-stamped so that you can jump directly from a time to any topic that we've covered that you're interested in. So check us out.
And we have links to everything that we talked about on each show. So you can get the links to all the stories that we discussed at the website. We also are on iTunes and Stitcher. So if you want to listen to the audio version of that, subscribe to the audio version of that, you can do that on iTunes and Stitcher too. Search for Beyond Social Media Show. You'll find us there. Thanks for watching episode 128 of the Beyond Social Media Show. Again, you can get the links to all of the everything we talked about on the blog. Find us on Twitter at BS Media Show. My name is David Erickson. You can find me on Twitter at DErickson. My blog is e-strategyblog.com. I also blog at our agency's blog, creativepr.com/blog. BL, tell us where you can find you.
I'm BL Uckman. You'll find me blogging at whatsnextblog.com. You'll find me on Twitter as @whatsnext. I am the grand poobah of whatsnextonline.com, and I run maximum-plus.com, where I create videos and online events for companies. And I'm on YouTube, I'm on Facebook, you'll find me all over the place. What I would like to do is see you here again next week, same time, same station, for episode number 129 of the Beyond Social Media Show. And thanks, guys. Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching, everyone.